Hello and welcome to John's Non Sequitur. To start things off, I don't know, my face is always just a minefield. It looks like the surface of Mars or one of the big planets where the meteors always hit. Thank God for them or we'd all be dead. Today's topic is going to be memes and how memes are misinforming. I think that it's been well documented by people much smarter than me and much more knowledgeable that the news that we get now is so goddamn hard to... You don't know. It's impossible. I mean, one of the guys who sent me some of the memes I'm going to be using today suggested that I go on a place called Snope to see if... It's supposed to be a place that like checks rumors and sees if facts are facts. So I went there, and while I was searching for that, I found something called Snope is Lying. So, okay, so where Snope is lying? Where does it end? So, to tell you the truth, I'm not even sure if what I'm going to say to you today is... I fact-checked his. I didn't fact-check mine. I'm just going to be asking questions about the ones that I have. But I'll put them up, and then I'll talk about them and why they're kind of just blurbs and they're kind of misleading. Kind of is a pretty gentle way of putting it with some of these. But okay, let's start with the first one. You really have to ask why conservatives own guns? Because liberals block freeways, burn cities, throw Molotov cocktails, loot, turn over cop cars, and think this behavior is socially acceptable. Okay. I'm just going to pick apart bits and pieces here. Who is asking why conservatives own guns? I'm not a conservative. I don't physically own a gun in this house, but I've hunted before. I actually own a gun at my dad's house. I just choose not to have it in my house because I'm not afraid of the neighbors breaking in to take my shitty TV. Okay. Liberals block freeways, burn cities, throw Molotov cocktails, loot and turn over cop cars, and think this behavior is socially acceptable. Liberals. So in this picture that we're looking at, there is not one person who is not a liberal. Look, I struggle with, because I'm uninformed, but I struggle with what a liberal and a conservative is. As far as I know, the one thing I don't like about liberals is that they believe in anti-vaccination, which is fucked up. And the one thing I know about conservatives is they want to put God in schools, which is fucked up. So I don't really side on either side here. So I'm not saying this to save liberals, because if they're out there with their anti-vaxxing bullshit, then fuck them. But I'm looking at this picture, and you're telling me that everybody in there is a liberal, and only liberals, not a single conservative, not one, was out overturning cars, burning things, setting shit on fire. In fact, not one conservative has ever rioted, is what this is saying. And you're saying that because these people are rioting and tipping cars over, that conservatives should go out and shoot them. That's what this is saying. You shoot people who do property damage? You shoot them? I've long been of the belief that a lot of the reason that people want to keep their guns is because they're dreaming, begging, pleading for a day when someone breaks into their house so they can finally shoot a human being in the face. Legally. I'm ashamed to be American. Believe me, we're all ashamed that you're American too. Okay. Why the fuck did they pick Ron Burgundy to be the person in this meme? At this very moment, I can recite the entire thing that he says here. I can remember this whole scene. Wow, that escalated quickly. That really got out of hand fast. Frick, did you throw a trident? That's what happens in that scene, okay? Nothing to do with America. He's got a beer. Is that why it's supposed to be American? Because he's in a suit and he's got a beer? They also picked a guy who, in the movie, absolutely 100% believes that women should not even be in the newsroom. Like, he's the most anti-woman person in a film up until the end when he realizes, times change. How many times has Madonna in her career had people been like, you suck? Anyway, this meme is stupid also because in the top corner of it, you'll notice it says, "Keep America American," and it has a skull with the American flag, a knife, and a pistol. What the fuck is that supposed to be? It's time to take sides. The election is over. You're either with us or against us. That is, with the United States or against the United States. Judge Jeanine Pirro. This is actually a fallacy that at one point George Bush did, and when he said you're either with us or against us. You know, there's other things such as like, I'm not even taking part in this. You can't go bombing people who are like, I don't want any part of this. You can't go bombing people who are like, I don't care who the president is. You just can't attack people who don't agree with you because they don't agree with you. It's not being against you, it's being against what you believe. I wish I could remember what this is called, but it's very, very common, and it's a fallacy. There is no such thing as with us or against us, and that's it. It's just not something that exists. But it gets people fired up, and they actually believe there's an enemy, like a legitimate enemy. Like, if you don't agree with the way that we do things, you're our enemy. Like, if a friend of mine were to like the New England Patriots, and I were to like the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're not my enemy. They just like a different thing. I hope one day a woman will be properly registered and banned from schools and places of business. There's so many layers to this one. Because this woman, I think, put her sign, which says, as a woman, I hope to one day have as many rights as a gun. I think she's kind of off on what her sign means. I think what she's saying is, I hope someday people will fight for the same kind, with the same kind of ferocity that they do for their guns. Because whenever you tell somebody they're going to take their guns away, they're like, come and get it, I'll blast your fucking head off, right? But if somebody were to say, hey, this woman can't work in a bank, then it would cause an outrage, not only with men, but women, and on both sides. You would have women being like, women shouldn't be in the bank, and you would have men being like, women should be in the bank. Why is this an argument? For fuck's sake. And then, I don't know if it's sarcasm, I think it might be, but judging from where I got it from, and the kind of things this person posts on a daily basis, I think they actually want women banned from schools and places of business. Which, by the way, and I don't know where I heard this from, so it could be bullshit, who knows, but population, I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson that said this, population, the overpopulation of the world has actually slowed because women are becoming more educated and getting into careers and finding less need to pop out 5, 6 children. So they're actually slowing down overpopulation, at least in civilized countries. So, you know, maybe it's a good idea to keep them educated before we run out of resources. And yes, the world is finite. I'd hate to tell you, but everything on Earth is finite. It's not like it goes on for all eternity. Everything, every single thing here, other than energy, I think it's just energy. It's either energy or matter, is finite. Once it's gone, it's gone. This is the one that inspired me to do this video. The 42nd President of the United States of America, William Jefferson Clinton, was accused of rape, accused of groping several women, accused of exposing himself, accused of sexual harassment, and accused by several of consensual adultery. Where were the freaking women then? In all caps. See why most of us don't take you serious? If you can't be consistent, if you're only upset with a political party and you don't agree with, well, sit down and shut up. Lots of things wrong with this one. Lots. Bill Clinton was the president from 1992 to 2000. It is 2017. Let's say you're 30 years old right now out of March, okay? You're at the March right now, you're 30 years old. When this happened, Bill Clinton, okay, that was 19 years ago. You're 30, you were 11. You were 11 years old. When Bill Clinton happened, the oldest you could have been if you're 30 now would be 11. How dare you didn't do something when you were 11 years old? Come on. There were no marches by the same people that are marching now because a lot of them were too young to march. And how do you know there wasn't, I don't know. I don't know if there were any marches back then, even small ones, like really small ones, protests, something. There may have been. There may have been outraged 40-year-old women who now are 60-something who marched. I don't know. Neither do you. And also, if you don't agree with something, you sit down and shut up. By posting this, you're saying that you don't agree with this person, and you're not sitting down and shutting up. So, those are the memes that I have that I found, okay? Now, on to the ones that I actually have to be, like, paying attention with. Now, two of these, this guy from Nothing Forum, Nick, sent me 3 of these. And unfortunately, Nick, I couldn't make heads or tails of the education one because the only graphs and charts that I found were of individual states, and I was doing this while I was at work, and we're in the middle of, like, busy time. So I was, like, just sending myself links home that I knew I'd be able to understand and relay. And they're actually, 2 of these are actually pretty easy to disprove. So thanks for throwing me softballs that I originally thought were hardballs. Okay, the first one is Mike Pence. Time for a quick reality check. Despite the hysteria from the political class and the media, smoking doesn't kill. Just a quick reality check. The vice president is an idiot. Now, I'm not a fan nor a foe of Mike Pence. He's a frightening man, I think. As far as I know, and I don't know for sure because I'm just saying hearsay, I haven't checked it out, but I think his policies don't align with mine, but that doesn't mean I don't like him. I just don't agree with him. But if I were to just read this, I would think this guy's a fucking moron, right? Well, turns out it was an op-ed. He wrote it in 2000. And I'm going to read to you what he actually said in the paragraph that was referenced here, okay? Time for a quick reality check. Despite the hysteria from political class and the media, smoking doesn't kill. In fact, 2 out of every 3 smokers do not die from smoking-related illness, and 9 out of 10 smokers do not contract lung cancer. That's the end of what they said. Now, here's what else he said. This is not to say that smoking is good for you. Newsflash, smoking is not good for you. If you're reading this article through the blue haze of cigarette smoke, you should quit. The relevant question is, which is more harmful to the nation? Secondhand smoke or backhanded big government disguised in do-gooder healthcare rhetoric? He acknowledges that smoking is bad for you. He just says that the statistics are not accurate. But if you were to just see the meme, you would think the guy was just saying, smoking doesn't kill anybody. Which is exactly what it's supposed to look like. In fact, BuzzFeed put this out. Who else put this out? I fucking love science. Well, that's a dagger to my heart, guys. That hurts. That sucks. Now, Huffington Post, I've just stopped reading. BuzzFeed, I never read. I've never been on there. But I fucking love science? Guys! Really? That hurts, because now I don't know what the fuck to do. Anyway, now that you've broken my heart, let's go on to your other one that I found. The other one you sent me says, Senator Sessions proposed to cut off welfare for illegal aliens and restore pensions for veterans, but the Senate Democrats blocked him. I didn't go too deep into this, but what I did find out from reading factcheck.org, which who fucking knows, but I'm pretty sure that welfare for illegal aliens was never a thing to cut off. From what I understand, welfare for illegal aliens never existed, and the only time that they would get help is in like a medical emergency when they would go to the hospital because, you know, hospitals have to help people. And here's the thing, to apply for welfare, you need a social security number. Illegal immigrants don't have that, and they would be turning themselves in and getting deported. So how did he propose to cut off something that didn't exist? Now that's what I found. Now is this true? That's the thing, I did all this work to look up this shit, and I don't even know if I'm just spouting off more bullshit, more confusing shit. I think the only thing you can do at this point, as somebody who wants to know information, is just pick one and hope for the best. Because even using Google right now, they use your algorithms of what you look up on Facebook when you connect to Facebook, what you like, what you search for. So if let's say you like Okay, here's an example. One of my friends at work showed me a meme of Tony Soprano sitting at a table covered in spaghetti, okay, and talking about how if women want rights, they need to stop dressing like pussies. This was a big one for me, and I wanted to get it because Tony Soprano cheated on his wife and I think physically attacked her in the show Sopranos. So why they're picking him to talk about women's rights at all, I don't know. He doesn't seem like the kind of person you'd want to get advice from. But anyway, I tried to find this on Google, so I typed in Tony Soprano Women's March, Tony Soprano Don't Dress Like a Pussy. I just kept getting things that were more slanted towards being in favor of the Women's March. And obviously, I'm tipping my hand here. But I couldn't find anti ones, and it's what I wanted. I wanted anti ones. So I had to type in specifically anti Women's March memes. It still wasn't there. But the thing is, what you say and do on Facebook, when you link to Google, when you link to all your other accounts, they take your algorithm and they will give you different search results than somebody else. Like, for instance, the guy I talked about earlier, Nick, I'm sure, if he were... But he does, he does a fantastic job of just fucking with the algorithm. It's one of my favorite feeds to follow on Facebook. He's all over the fucking map, and it's great. But I would imagine, and I'm sure he would attest to this, that if he were to look on Google for the same thing, Women's March memes, he may find the Tony Soprano one. I wouldn't. So looking for information on Google is not a reliable way to do it. It's just unless you can somehow work around the algorithms or be very specific with your search. So I don't know who to trust. I don't know where to go for news. I mean, CNN once reported that during a solar flare, which produces, what's it called? Plasma. Produces plasma. Plasma comes down to Earth, mixes with the atmosphere, and causes the northern lights. This is a common occurrence. CNN reported that we were nearly hit by a solar flare which would have destroyed humanity. No, we weren't. But we were afraid that we were. The worst thing that could have happened was the satellites would have went out. We wouldn't have any technology, which some people I think would rather be dead. But you can't go to CNN. You can't go to Fox News. I thought you could go to NBC, but you can't. You can't go to MSNBC. You can't go to the Huffington Post. You can't go to the Washington Post. You can't go to any of the fake sites. Because I tried to post something the other day about Trump keeping the scientific discoveries by government-funded scientists from being revealed to the press and the public. And I was immediately jumped on because my source was shit. Admittedly, it was. I mean, this really happened, but my source was garbage, so what I was saying was basically tossed out, which rightfully so. Pick one. The best I can tell you to do is pick one, do your research, and hope. Because there will always be somebody trying to disprove you. There will always be somebody claiming that it's fake news. Fake news claims that news is fake news. It's impossible. But you know what you can't trust? Memes. Do your research. There's so many tools at your disposal. Check as often as you can. Try to find facts that line up with other stories. Try to find ones that don't use words like this is bad for or this is good for or things like that, because those are opinionated words and they're meant to make you think it's bad or good. If you're reading a site, it sucks so much. If you're reading a site like I Fucking Love Science and they say this is bad for the earth, I guess now you gotta be like, well, they want me to think it's bad for the earth. Is it bad for the earth? I need to go find out. It's on us. The onus is on us to figure it out. We can't trust what we see anymore, which is sad and difficult, and it makes things very, very hard. But you can't just take it. You have to figure it out on your own and hopefully make the right choice and hopefully be informed. Misinformation can be bad and dangerous. Of course, now, if you don't like me and I say misinformation could be bad and dangerous, like, yeah, right, it could be great. Misinformation's terrific. I think I'm right on this one. I think misinformation is bad. So, that'll be all for today. Thanks. See you tomorrow.